Cryptids around? What not to do. There are many people who claim to know the best way to deal with cryptids coming around your property. They tout the expert tag and give people advice that might not be the best course to take in dealing with this particular type of issue. The bottom line is that there are no experts, and what works one time might not work always. I don't claim to be an expert, and I'm constantly learning something new about the topic of cryptids. However, I do understand that when cryptids come around your property, the dynamic changes greatly. The situations presented can be very stressful. There are some things that you should consider heavily before you attempt to use any method in an effort to keep cryptids away. Get a guard dog. If you have cryptids coming around your home and you think that getting a guard dog is going to solve your problem, you could be very mistaken. Adding a dog to your environment will not only add stress, but you could be issuing a death sentence to the dog itself. I'm not an expert on dogs, but I'm confident in what I have to relate on the subject. Anytime you bring a dog into your environment, there is going to be an adjustment period for you and the animal. This applies to any animal that you bring into your home or onto your property. The animal has to adjust to becoming familiar with the environment, you, and everything it comes into contact with. This can be stressful to the dog, you, your family, and any other animals you may already have in your home or on your property. When you add into the mix that you have cryptids coming around, things can get complicated real fast. This adjustment period creates a bottleneck of potential vulnerability for the dog. There are many types of dogs, but the breeds commonly utilized for protective work and guarding are typically larger breeds. These tend to be German Shepherds, Dobermans, Rottweilers, Pit Bulls, and others from the working class of dogs. They are chosen due to size, natural protective ability, but dogs of all sizes have those same instincts. Historically, the larger, protective breeds seem to be the ones who have more difficulty in an environment where cryptids are present. I believe that this might be directly related to their size, aggression capability, and when you combine those factors, there is a greater threat level perception to the cryptid. We all know that dogs mark their territory. This applies to both male and female dogs, and this should be a factor that any dog owner should consider when dealing with cryptids coming around the home. Largely, we don't understand how cryptids form their territory or establish their hierarchy within their own groups. We do know that dogs mark their territory in an effort to project their dominance to other dogs and establish ownership over their territory. If some cryptids view this as a challenge to their dominance, it stands to reason that they could fall back on the instinct to somehow establish that they are the king of the hill. Could this be a factor in why some dogs end up being killed by cryptids? This is a very complex idea due to the fact that there are reports of cryptids who seem to like some dog breeds. Is there a tolerance based on the premise of some sort of symbiotic relationship, or something we are not fully understanding about these creatures? Shoot the cryptid. Some might suggest that you should shoot at the cryptid to get it to go away. This is a really bad idea. As I have stated numerous times, firearms should only be used against cryptids as a last resort and only when there is a direct real threat of death to a person. You may shoot at the cryptid that you can see, but what about the ones that you don't see? We know that the majority of the time cryptids travel in pairs or small groups. Taking a shot at a cryptid could be a serious mistake. If you're at home and you shoot at one, at some point you are going to have to leave your home, and there are too many variables that can come into play at that point. Not to mention that what if the cryptid you perceive isn't a cryptid at all, but someone trying to play a joke on you? You could be shooting at a person, and that is a totally different scenario with its own set of consequences. Be responsible, get some training, and follow the simple rules of firearm safety if you feel you have the need to utilize firearms. Mark territory. Some researchers will tell you that marking the boundary of your property will help keep cryptids away. My opinion is that this is also a bad idea. The suggestion is that you have an adult male urinate at different points along the property line. We don't know what this means to cryptids, and you could be very well issuing a challenge by doing this. That puts the person who urinated in that area in possible danger. There is little hard data to support that males are generally more prone to having a bad encounter with a cryptid, but looking at reports that have been collected, it appears that could be true. In retrospect to that, some female researchers will urinate in an area to possibly attract cryptids to come into a specific location. This is also a bad idea because we can never determine the intent of the cryptid or the outcome of utilizing this method. From a logical standpoint, I would say that anytime you tap into any animal's primal instinct, the unpredictability factor increases dramatically, and with that, the danger factor increases as well. There are a lot of researchers who speculate about the true intent of cryptids and why they do the things they do, but no one really knows for sure the meaning of their actions.